This rarely happens, but it does.
Listen, we're going to take everything as it comes. This is my yoga background in play. Like when things kind of go awry or things are unexpected, you just roll with it. There's no big deal. We're all good.
Yeah. We are all good.
So I'm so excited to have you. We were connected by a friend, and just like, I will tell you, when we spoke previously, my mind was blown by so many things you said. And I can't wait to get into it. So as an introduction, I'd love to welcome you, Holly Bertone, to the pod. And I'm so happy to have you. And if I could, I'd love to introduce you. You are a certified holistic health coach and consultant, keynote speaker, podcast host, former FBI chief of staff for counterintelligence, and a pug mom. If I missed anything else, I hope you'll add it in.
Yes, and my specialty is as a weight loss coach and specifically helping women overcome emotional eating.
That's so
incredible. But the pug mom that's number one.
Yeah, of course. I have an Australian Shepherd, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their dogs are amazing. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your past and what got you to this point in your life as a holistic health coach focused specifically on emotional eating and what that journey looked like.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. How long do we have? So before I jump in though, really, I want to just share with everyone listening, just Sam, how much I appreciate you putting this podcast out there. And I know it's new and you just have such an incredible message to share and such a heart and a passion for helping others. And I know, especially because it is a new show, for everyone listening, please give the show a 5-star rating and review. I just left mine, and I just encourage everyone else to follow along as well and just really help to get your show out to more people.
Oh, thank you so much. Warms my heart, literally. Thank you, truly.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, I did the whole type A overachieving, career-driven woman thing. I was appointed the chief of staff for FBI counterintelligence. I worked at the FBI for 13 years, spent 22 years of my life in the DC metro area in Alexandria, Virginia, which I think they call dog years just from the stress of living right outside of the nation's capital and working inside of the nation's capital. And because of that type A, because of my lifestyle, because of unhealthy eating, because of just a myriad of factors, I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 39 years old.
I'm so sorry.
Went through surgery, chemo, radiation, and I never got healthy again. And I ended up coming down with an autoimmune disease and my Hashimoto's, and my health just kept getting worse and worse. So I resigned from the FBI in 2017, focused on my health, focused on being a full-time stepmom, raising my stepson at the time, and started coaching part-time. And I loved it. But the pivotal moment for me, I think, was, as they say, the death by 1,000 cuts. Mm-hmm. And losing that piece of me that was so driven at the FBI, being known for what I did, I just lost myself, and especially dealing with some health challenges, and I let myself go. At 49, I just blew up overnight. Like my weight I put on 20 pounds. I mean, it felt like overnight. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be a health coach, and I look very unhealthy. I was overweight. I was inflamed. I didn't have any energy. I mean, it was just, I was the most unhealthiest health coach. Mm-hmm. And I just kept doing what I was doing because that's what us overachievers do. We just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Until the divorce happened. And I was like, okay, I have a choice. So I decided to move back home to Pennsylvania. And I was like, I can either go back to a full-time job and figure that out, or I can keep coaching.
Mhm.
So I decided to take a chance on myself. I went all in on my coaching. I went all in on figuring out why I wasn't able to lose weight. I mean, I have all of these health coaching and nutrition and metabolic health certifications on my wall, and none of them worked. None of them worked. Like all of the stuff that they teach in school, nothing was helping me to lose the weight. And it wasn't just the weight, because I mean, I quote unquote knew how to eat healthy. It was also the emotional eating. It was the
Yeah.
fact that it didn't matter what I ate, I still ate my feelings. And I knew that there was something behind the scenes. So that is when I went to town. That is when I created the emotional eating forensics framework. It's a 3-step process that I take my students and my clients to. With this process, I lost 20 pounds,
Wow.
look pretty much exactly like I look today, and am at a healthy weight for where
Yeah.
I'm at. I've completely obliterated all of the emotional eating. I don't get the cravings anymore. Ice cream used to be my kryptonite. I mean, I would eat super strict and super healthy all week long.
Mhm.
And then I would eat 1 pint of ice cream every single day throughout the weekend. So a pint on Friday, a pint on Saturday, and a pint on Sunday.
Wow.
And I mean, and I couldn't stop. Like I couldn't take 1 or 2 bites and put it away. Like
Yeah.
I would devour the entire pint, so much so my spoon would be at the bottom of the container, scraping out the last bit of ice cream, and it's actually just cardboard. And yeah, so I was like, okay, I need to solve this problem. So I really dove into the root cause of emotional eating and figured out that our brain does a really good job at sabotaging us, but it's actually keeping us safe. So I created the emotional eating forensics framework, stop the emotional eating. I can now have, 1 or 2 bites of ice cream and put it down, put it away, and just enjoy a few bites like a quote unquote normal person can eat. And I realized once I did it for myself, I was like, okay, I definitely need to make a pivot in my health coaching practice and start really getting this out to the masses.
Wow.
And I at one point had a higher ticket program, and I was like, no, I don't want all the bells and whistles. I don't want the big price tag. I don't want the big, massive program. I was like, I want something quick. I want something easy. I want something actionable. I want something efficient. I want something that is affordable for every woman who wants to get a handle on this, that they can literally get in and out for less than what they would leave Target, like in the cart
Yeah.
in Target for a typical Target run. So yeah, so we've been going gangbusters now for the last couple of years with this.
That is so incredible. There's so much I want to dive into in that comprehensive but deep history that you've just provided. So, the first thing that stood out to me is the type A overachiever lifestyle, which I certainly relate to and lived in that world for a decade plus in my professional life. And like, I guess my question to you is, based on all the certifications that you have and the knowledge you've amassed, what about that type A overachiever lifestyle runs contrary to us as women that puts our health in jeopardy?
So this is going to sound very counterintuitive.
Mm.
So follow along. Everyone listening, follow along. We are so used to going. Like that for us, we get our value with the straight A as a kid, right? You got the straight A on the test. We were first chair in band. We were captain of the field hockey team, like whatever that was, you know. So that is how we got value. That is how we got appreciation. That is how we knew our worth in the world. It's not true. We're worthy and valued for other reasons, but in our little girl minds, that is what made us worthy and valuable. And we take this with us. So now as adult women, we're doing this because this is what we are chasing. We're still chasing that value. We're still chasing that achievement. We're still chasing needing to be worthy. And we go nonstop. So fast forward, especially for the women I work with who struggle with emotional eating, they go 100 miles an hour all day long. So it's almost like a dopamine rush, right? Like just nonstop. And I know for so many overachievers, for them to like sit down and relax is like death. Like it's
Mhm.
painful to sit down and relax. So it's like this constant need to go, go, go. But then what happens at night, and the majority of binge eating and overeating happens at night. So you're sitting down at the couch watching Netflix, trying to calm down, so an hour or
Mhm.
two before bed. And what's happening is that dopamine, right, is not getting fed because you're not going 100 miles an hour. So what happens is the dopamine's not being fed. So your brain and your body are like, we still need the hit. So what
Yeah.
happens? You get out your phone, you're scrolling on social media or playing Sudoku or a game on your phone while you're watching TV, or you've got your laptop and working while watching TV. So all the multitasking. And you go to the pantry, get the bag of chips, the bag of cookies, the pint of ice cream, whatever that looks like, and you're eating because you're needing to keep up that dopamine hit of going 100 miles an hour. So often that nighttime binge we think is that craving when in actuality it can also be a withdrawal.
Wow. It's mind-blowing, and it's just I think emotional eating, as someone who has certainly participated in it, it is so shameful and it lives in the darkness, it lives in the shadows, and to pinpoint the pattern and name it brings it into the light. So that act in and of itself is actually really powerful.
Yeah.
This question came up for me this morning when I was thinking about the fact that we were going to record this podcast. And you and I have had a conversation before, and your approach to essentially dismantling this disordered relationship that so many of us have with food because of all the factors we deal with in the modern world is brilliant. But what do you think about your time at the FBI and that essentially like way of approaching problems, the way that your brain was trained in that setting and context? How has that strengthened your ability to be an emotional eating coach and also helped you formulate this amazing program that you teach?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm totally crushing on this question. This is my favorite thing to talk about in the world. Is so this actually happened. It started when I was about 10 years old. And okay, we're really going to geek out here.
I
So
love it.
so we had this growing up, we had this huge dining room table. And I love doing puzzles, but the 1,000-piece puzzles got too boring for me. So my little 10-year-old self would take three different 1,000-piece puzzles, dump them out on the dining room table, mix them up, and then put them back together.
Wow.
Yeah. So clue number one, that's how my brain works.
Mm-hmm.
Clue number two, so my senior year in high school, I was 17. I was a late birthday. So I didn't even turn 18 until after I graduated. So still 17. And we had our senior paper. We could pick any topic we wanted to. And I was taking a psychology class. So I decided to do my topic on psychology. And I decided to do a behavior profile on Charles Manson. My 17-year-old self wanted to do a behavior profile on Charles Manson because I was like, this man is pure evil. I wonder what makes him tick. So again, this has been ingrained in me since childhood.
Yeah.
And after that, I majored in psychology, but I wanted to work for the FBI. But back then, the internet didn't even exist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, how is this like small town, girl from small town USA ever get to the FBI? Like,
Yeah.
how is that even going to happen? I don't even have the internet. Like what am I supposed to just like walk into DC or something? So fast forward through just a crazy synchronicities, I ended up working there. And I started in Quantico doing some project management work. I was not an agent, and then transferred up to headquarters for the rest of my career. And the through line of everything that I did, and I did some post 9/11 Patriot Act work. I did some weapons of mass destruction work when the 9/11 Commission and the WMD Commission came out, and we set up the directorate. I helped to get that stood up, and also did some counterterrorism work. But really, my home sweet home was my time as chief of staff for counterintelligence, because I ran the shop where we would look at the patterns of spies and espionage. And what we would do was slice and dice like as many data points as we could, look for patterns, and then create a threat analysis based on those patterns so that we could send that up to the higher ups, and then they could implement the various tripwires and countermeasures and whatnot to actually stop the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally what I do as an emotional eating coach. Because if you think about it, our emotional eating has a very specific pattern, right? Like, if, and this may describe someone, when you're at a work party or like a office, whatever they call it, office birthday party,
Mm-hmm.
and the Costco sheet cake comes out, like, you're an end piece girl. Like, who you are, because I was that girl, right? And you're like praying you get the end piece. The fork scraping the plate to get all of the icing off. So like, the patterns that you have. What foods trigger you. What events trigger you. What people trigger. Like, we know this. We just don't know how to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I do, is I help my students and clients see the patterns. I see them first, but I can't just tell them. I can't just be like, here are your patterns, because that's not going to do anything. No. They actually have to learn how to see them for themselves, because once they see them for themselves, that's when their brain starts to go into action to say, I need to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do, and you can think about that dopamine trigger, like, and hopefully I'm in view, but like a fork in the road.
Yeah.
So you get a trigger and you have food. So you have the trigger, you have food, and now it's food equals comfort, or food equals I have to finish everything, or food means I have to eat. So you've got the trigger, you've got the food, and you're inhaling everything in sight.
Yeah.
So what we do is we take that moment, that trigger, and we go a few steps back. And then that is when we create the pattern interrupt. In the FBI, we call them countermeasures or tripwires, but it's literally a pattern interrupt before that trigger. So if you don't know what the trigger is, you're kind of stuck. So that's why we do the patterns first. So now that you know what that trigger is, you can take a few steps backwards and say, okay, now that I know what this trigger is, let me put something in place here, because dopamine has about half of a second to hit. Once the dopamine hits, you are going to eat everything in sight, and there's like no other option on the table, right? For an emotional eater. So we need to interrupt and intercept before that dopamine, before that trigger. Mm-hmm. And that's what I help them do, so that their brain starts to lay down new pathways, that instead of trigger food, it's trigger nothing, or it's trigger something else, or it's trigger healthier food.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's literally my brain doing the exact same thing.
It's just so incredible, because, and I'd love to just dial it back and ask you, like, how would you define emotional eating? Like, what is the tipping point at which someone has a problem with this? And yeah, that's my question for now. And then I have a follow-up question.
Okay. Yeah. So there are technical definitions for emotional eating, binge eating, overeating. Mm-hmm. I don't like to, what's the phrase? Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
I just like to look at them at, from a whole and say, when food takes over your life, when decisions are made by food, when you have no control.
Yeah.
And really that's what it is. It's when you can't stop, when you do not have the control and food has all of the control over you.
Yeah.
And that's going to look different for everyone. But it's so ask your other question. There was something else I wanted to get into, but I want to make sure I answer your other.
My other question is, what in your experience actually pushes women to get help for this? Like, what is the breaking point at which they seek your program? Because it's one thing to do this, and like I said, it is a behavior that lives in the darkness, and it's really easy to keep the lights off and not look at yourself and perpetuate the behavior because it happens typically on your own. And it's very brave, and it's a real step forward to seek help from another person for something that is so solitary.
It really is. And when you think about being overweight, like that's a very public statement. You walk anywhere and people see your weight. It's very public. But emotional eating is so private
Yeah.
and there's so much shame attached to it. And the women in my program, most of them are overweight to some degree, even if it's 20 pounds to 100 pounds. There are quite a few, though, who are at a healthy weight, but they can't control themselves around food. Back when I was a triathlete and just lean and muscular, and I was still eating everything under the sun. Like I was an emotional eater at my thinnest weight. So it doesn't correlate to the weight, but depending on your metabolism, obviously,
Yeah.
the if you are emotionally eating, you're probably also going to be either gaining weight or not able to lose the weight. And I think a lot of it is women who just chase diet after diet after diet and just see failure after failure after failure. Like they don't understand, like, why is this not working?
Mm-hmm.
And, get to a place where, okay, I'm looking for a different approach. And, and I, when I first started to market this, I was pretty vanilla. Like I just I didn't want to put myself out there in a big way.
Yeah.
And now I literally just call it what it is. I'm like, you're going to brainwash yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is literally what we do. And I mean, obviously some people are like, what? And some people are like, oh no. But when they understand what it actually is, like it's their ability. See, we're brainwashed every single day. Like the emotional eaters they're brainwashed. Their brain's already telling them, eat the food, right? This was what I wanted to, this is probably a good segue. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book, Thinking Fast and Slow. It's by Daniel Kahneman, I think is how you say his name. So the system one brain is fast and automatic. That is your emotional eating brain, is your system one brain. But we look at it like it's a diet problem. It's a calorie problem. I need to count my macros. So women chase after this emotional eating problem that is fast and automatic and completely irrational and emotional.
Yeah.
With a system two logic, calorie counting, which diet, which protocol, I've got to meal prep, I've got to weigh my food, very logical solution. So I'm like, no wonder it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So a lot of it on my end is just educating them that we're trying to solve this problem with the wrong part of our brain. And when you can look at this in the right sequence, and when you can put your brain through this order in the right sequence, your brain is going to be set up to actually work in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about this, the brainwashing, you're already brainwashed. Like you, as in someone who's an emotional eater, you see the cupcake on the counter, you see 3 cupcakes on the counter and about 2 minutes later, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Like that's brainwashing from years of experience and years of needing that food for comfort. So we just reverse engineer and brainwash themselves to have that better response.
That's so amazing. And so the sequence that you're talking about, what does that look like? Like the pattern interruption almost.
Yeah. So I'll go over. There's the big kind of big piece of the framework, and then there's the tactical piece of the framework. So I don't want to confuse the listener. So I'll just focus on the tactical piece of it, just to keep it simple. And it's the emotional eating forensics framework, and it's see it, stop it, shift it. So see it is the pattern awareness. That is, I teach them how to actually pull apart the patterns. And if you think about it from our lens of the world, is like we're in a box and all we can see is the inside of the box. So you can't see the label on the outside of the box when you're inside of the box.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put the patterns down and you can actually lay them out in a logical sense, it's almost like you're elevating yourself to a different perspective. And you can actually look down at those patterns from that different perspective and from that higher perspective. So you're not looking at it from that place of being caught up in all of the chaos and the drama and the woe is me and all the sabotage. You're looking at it from this different perspective of, okay, now I can see this a little more logically.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when our brain starts to say, okay, I need to fix this. How are we going to start to fix this? So looking at, step 1 is see it. That's actually looking at the patterns. Step 2 is stop it. That's what I was sharing when you're at that, that fork in the road and that dopamine and the trigger and the dopamine. Stop it. We're going to take a few steps back. We're going to implement those pattern interrupts and those tripwires so that when the trigger happens, you don't go right for the food, you go for a healthier option, or you do nothing, or you do something else. But you're training your brain to not go instantly for food. Mm-hmm. And the best part about this is the entire thing, but it's specifically step 2, stop it, is this is just like potty training a puppy, minus the, to middle of the night, going out in the middle of the night. But it is literally, it's just repetition. It is just like potty training a puppy. And, people are like, oh, I tried it once, it didn't work. Okay, well, do you brush your teeth once and say, yay, no cavities? Do you do one push-up and say, yay, toned arms? No, it's like training a muscle. It's like, learning to drive a car. And it's that repeatable process. I actually had a client this morning. Oh my goodness, she almost brought me to tears. And she's like, Holly, she goes, I've heard you talk about for the longest time about how this is a lifestyle change. And she's like, I never understood up until the last 2 weeks. She goes, I never understood what that meant. She goes, all my life I was overweight. All my life it was just about I have to lose weight and I have to diet and I have to starve myself. And she's like, I never understood what lifestyle, like this, like a healthy lifestyle. I never understood what that was.
Yeah.
Up until the last week or 2.
Wow.
And she's like, I'm finally getting it. Like I'm realizing, I'm doing the 3 steps. I'm eating better and, putting better nutritious foods on her plate. She's moving more, like all the things. And I was like, yeah, and she's like, and it's just like what I do now. It's just who I am. I'm like, yes, exactly. That's the difference.
It's such a difference.
The diet is what you do. The lifestyle is who you are.
Yeah.
And all of our behaviors and actions come out of that identity. So see it, stop it. And then the last step is shift it. And that is really where we make that permanent lifestyle change. And this is the place where I love it when my clients are like, yeah, I was at this party and they had pastries and they just looked disgusting. I didn't eat any.
Yeah.
Or, one of my clients was like, yeah, I just don't even go down that aisle in the grocery store anymore. She's like, I have no interest in, buying, all the things that she used to buy. So, it's just like when the see it, stop it, shifted. The shifted is when this actually becomes your lifestyle, becomes that permanent part of your identity.
Yeah.
It's just like someone who has never smoked before, like they don't consider themselves a non-smoker. It's just not even it's not even in their lexicon. Like they just
Mhm.
walk around not smoking, right? So it's almost the same way, just opposite. So with the food, it's like you don't think about food all of the time. You just go about your day and your healthy life and you don't even think about it anymore. And
Yeah.
it is such a huge change for my clients. I mean, even just to get used to it, like this is different, you
Yeah,
know?
you live different. It's so interesting because I feel like over the last like week or two, identity has become just been coming up a lot for me in discussions I'm having with people. And I think in women's health, as women, we're dynamic, right? Like we have to be so many different things and we have to inhabit so many different identities. And there's ones that we inhabit with certainty. And then there's other ones that are a little bit more of question marks as we live and grow. But I think the older you get and the more that you are empowered to prioritize your health, the more you understand that like making the decision about your identity and making those shifts so that your behaviors align with the identity that you want to associate with and that you start to really think of yourself as, that is such a key component to any aspect of health. And obviously, like it is, I don't know how, I don't know if it's kind of talked about enough, right? Like
Yeah.
you identify in the shadows as an emotional eater, and then someone you're saying that your clients who work with you start to identify as people who don't associate emotion with food. And
Yeah.
that shift gives them probably so much breathing room to and energy to tackle other areas of their lives that require a lot of attention, right? Like we all
Yeah.
have that. So I just think that that is so profound and it's such a huge shift. And it is not given enough credit because that is a life-changing transformation.
And it's funny because I ask them what it feels like as they describe, going through this process, and when they get to that piece of it, I was like, "What does it feel like, or can you describe it?" And they always kind of think for a second. They're like, "It feels like nothing,"
Yeah.
meaning it feels normal, right? Like it's a very different and new normal, but it feels normal. Like it's just not having that constant chatter.
Yeah. And it feels like certainty, right? Because,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of the reason why I feel very like, passionate about the subject matter of this podcast and speaking to professionals like yourself is if we don't decide for ourselves, then we're not going to have, we're going to blow with the wind. Like we
Yeah.
are going to do what we think is right or that we should be doing. And then in the shadows, in the dark, we're kind of lashing out because we haven't actively chosen it. And
Yeah.
that does play into identity in such a huge piece. But in order to have that certainty in your identity, there needs to be discernment in what you want to confront head on and who you want to become. And that
Yeah.
requires going inward, which is painful.
It is. It is. And and I feel like we as a society have, when you were talking about kind of blowing around, I was like thinking about like a tumbleweed. Like
Yeah,
we as women have become tumbleweeds and it's become
absolutely.
normalized. And we still need to have our roots. We need to be completely convicted in who we are. And
Yes.
if we don't have that conviction in who we are, we're going to be that tumbleweed. And there's no diet in the world that's going to fix you if you're just constantly, going to the next thing and, you know, eating based on what everyone else thinks or feels, or you're worried about what someone's going to think about you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's that image of a tumbleweed encapsulates what I was conjuring in my mind for sure. And it kind of goes hand in hand with something that you and I have talked about before that's associated with emotional eating, which is kind of like this inclination for women to become invisible and the patterns that perpetuate emotional eating in service of that desire to kind of stay small or not seen.
Yeah. And not every woman, obviously, but there is a significant portion of women who are overweight and emotionally eat from a place of trauma. And
Yeah.
I'm talking, the big T, whether that's some kind of, abuse, bullying, the more unfortunate stuff. I've heard it all. I've
Yeah.
heard it all in my calls. And just it sounds so counterintuitive, but we as a society view, like, if someone is small or attractive or thin, right, that, like, they're going to get the attention.
Mhm.
And for women, when that got too much attention, they eat to numb, they eat to make themselves bigger, they eat to make themselves invisible, so they no longer get that attention.
Yeah. But again, just, I mean, hearing you say that blows my mind. And it is to normalize that reaction to trauma makes complete sense. And again,
Yeah.
that puts that reaction in the light. And there there's so much about our experience as women and our relationship to food and how we use that relationship with food as a coping mechanism that if we talk about those things and we understand that we are all just people doing our best, then this doesn't become something that's laden with shame. It becomes
Yeah.
something that we can grow from as long as we recognize patterns and we desire that growth. And I just think it's so powerful to name it, to identify it, and to use it as a vehicle for empowerment if that's where the recipient of it is, right? You have to be right
Yeah.
place, right time, and ready. And everyone comes to that readiness in their own time, on their own path.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, like, everything is our brain protecting us.
Mhm.
Our brain, I should say, our brain and our body protecting us. So we think, like, oh, I'm eating because I'm out of control. Well, it's, blame it on the brain.
Yeah.
Like, our brain is, number one, it's a pattern predicting machine. And it likes safety, it likes comfort, it likes things to stay the same. So the more the brain can stay the same and the more the brain can protect you from those hurts from the past
Mhm.
that look like present hurts, right? Like, that's just, I mean, our brain is doing what it is infinitely designed to do
Mhm.
with, so there's no shame around it. It's like, it's literally our bodies working perfectly.
Yeah.
And what our brain is designed to do, we can also undo. Like, we can
Mhm.
make a new path.
I have so many questions for you, but the one that's literally obvious to me right now is kind of what does the nervous system have to do with recognizing these patterns and going to this place of certainty with our eating and our choices?
Yeah. So I talked about see it, stop it, shift it.
Mhm.
The macro framework of the emotional eating forensics framework is is another 5-step process. Step number one is nervous system reset, is creating that safety in your brain and your body. Because if your brain and your body do not feel safe for any reason, it's not going to change, right? And this is universal, not even just food, right? So it's creating that safety in your brain and in your body, that it is safe for me to just even change, for
Mhm.
me to, like, we talked about lifestyle, right? Like, that lifestyle change is scary for your brain.
Yes.
So when you talk about nervous system reset, it's more so than just like calming and all of that. It's like convincing our brain that it is safe to change.
Mhm.
And the other piece of that is that, back to the tumbleweed, is that so many women, and I'm raising my hand as, first in line for so many years, love to live in the drama and the chaos. Like, that is
Mhm.
just normal. Like that's normal and that's comfortable. And if things get too calm, we'll find a way to stir it up. So, and again, food is another huge piece of that. So if that is the operating state of the kind of the drama and the chaos, the emotional eating is still going to be there. The weight's not going to come off. So that's the other piece of it, is
Mhm.
to really learn how to have that calm and that peace and that nervous system reset so that you have the space to work through this process. So your brain clocks it as I am safe to do the work, and so that you can start to make better decisions. So you talk about the system one, system two brain, the fast and automatic and emotional brain. When you're operating out of that chaos and that drama every single day, you're just living in that system one brain.
Yeah.
But when you can shift from the sympathetic stress state to the parasympathetic peace state, you're operating more from that system to prefrontal cortex that is a much more logical. So when presented with the dessert tray at dinner, it's no longer, I'm going to be good, I'm going to be good, I'm going to be good. No, you know
Mhm.
what? Give me a piece of cake. It's going to be like, no, thank you. And that no, thank you is grounded.
Yeah.
And that no, thank you is so grounded that no one's going to argue with you. And that's the difference.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot. I track macros, and that is part of a long-term goal that I have to just build muscle and lose fat. And I talk about that a lot with my coach because that certainty in the face of societal and social pressure is a huge pitfall, or it can be a huge pitfall. And I think it's so powerful what you're saying, that how grounded your response is to those pressurized situations can really be the make or break between you coming out of whatever temptation that's in front of you, holding your own.
Yeah. And, I always like to say the calmest one in the room is the one that's going to win.
Mm, I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So just pivoting a little bit, because you have been through so much in terms of just like your own health journey and your own professional journey. And you mentioned synchronicities, and that's something that I think, as logical as we are as humans, there's a lot we don't know about the world and how things work. And when it comes to all your experiences having led you to where you are in this moment, what are the things that stand out in that synchronistic way that had you go through so much pressure in your professional life, overcoming and battling breast cancer, leading to an autoimmune condition, dealing with shakeups in your personal life, and going through a divorce, and then a huge professional career change? Like, that is a lot. And like, what are the things that kept you going in the face of that adversity? And what were the things that maybe like were not inherent to you as a human, but may have been a little bit outside of your control that stand out to you?
Going through most of it, I was very victim-y. I was
Mm,
very much in the victim role and very much in the woe is me. And um, when I think one of the big pivotal moments was going through the divorce, and I remember I was like, just seeing on like Instagram or whatever, and the algorithm feeding me all of these just bitter and angry women going through their divorce. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that. Like,
mhm.
to me, that was just unbecoming. And I was like, I don't know how to be better. I don't know what to do. I just know I don't want to be like that. And I had a big cry moment in the mirror. And I was like, I don't know what to do here. And what kept coming up was radical responsibility. And when I took that radical responsibility of my part of the divorce is when everything shifted. The way that my ex showed up completely shifted.
Wow.
It was as pleasant as a divorce could be, because I wasn't blaming him. I wasn't yelling at him. I was just standing in my own ownership of my part of it and
Mhm.
moving forward from that place of, well, let's just figure this out. And I wasn't in the drama. I wasn't in the chaos. I was just like, okay, I'm at equal fault. Like I'm at 50% fault here.
Yeah.
So let's just figure it out. Completely change the trajectory of everything. And I think going back to, we talked about the regulated nervous system, and I think I love to show my students, my clients, like spending time in the quiet is so incredibly valuable because you learn everything about you. It's like for me, everything came together as preparation.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know going through any of this at the time, but now looking back, all the pieces connect. Like it is literally preparation. And knowing that, it also helps me going forward as I'm having a bad day or a bad week or just, whatever, going through something. I'm like, okay, this is just preparation
Yeah.
for whatever's down the road. And it might be 10 years down the road. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to look at everything now from that state of, this is what God is preparing me for. I was like, okay, I'm enduring this for a greater purpose, and I'm enduring this for a reason. Do we have time? I have like a really quick story on this.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and related but not related, but I think everyone listening is gonna just like get it. So I was this was a while back, and I was going through something and just really a lot of indecisiveness about something, and I was meditating. It was like a Saturday afternoon. I was meditating, and I was finished meditating. I was like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything. I'll just watch a little TV. And I was like, and I kind of said a little prayer. I was like, normally I don't ask for signs, and I was like, I just want a sign. I just want a sign that I'm on the right track. And I turned on the TV. And at the time I was binge watching Charlie's Angels, like old school 1970s Charlie's
Oh,
Angels,
wow.
which, yeah, crazy. And oftentimes I'm in that state where the TV's on and I'm on my phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this time I was in such a calm state from meditating. The phone was away and I just sat there and just was enjoying the show. I kid you not, it was like 2, 3 minutes into the start of the show. It was literally like the sign could not have been any clearer.
Oh my God.
And it was exactly, yeah, it was exactly what I needed to have that confirmation. But here's the thing, if I would have been on my phone, I would have never seen it. So, we think about that state of calm or that state of being in the parasympathetic, state. We think of that as like, oh, like peace or Zen or meditation or yoga. And sometimes, honestly, it's just not being on your phone and being completely aware of what's going on in your world.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that inclination or that need to be quiet is something that is really undiscovered and drowned out by all the noise and how loud our social media, our distractions, that badge of busyness becomes.
Yeah.
But getting quiet with yourself and also understanding, like, I love that you asked for a sign and that you received it, but also understanding the sensations in our bodies that we can miss if we don't pay
Yeah.
attention. And that's like obviously a huge part of yoga practice, quieting the mind to receive the messages from within, because your body will communicate with you. And if you can listen to your body, then that system one brain has something to contend with,
Yeah.
And it goes towards that kind of like, I think it also coincides with that feminine archetype of like being nurturing and being a little bit more gentle with ourselves instead of living in this world where we're trying to fight for this type A overachiever lifestyle that we think that we should aspire to, but doesn't serve us and how our energy communicates with the world as women.
One thing I love to do is work with my students and clients on like you said, like listening to your body and actually communicating. Like it's it's an actual communication. And it's either, and I say, is this with emotional eating? Is this your toddler screaming for the need to be understood? Is this your rebellious teenager
Yeah.
yeah, needing to rebel against whatever is going on? Or is this your adult tyrant needing to be in control?
Hmm. That's beautiful. And that's just another form of discernment and understanding ourselves at a deeper level and understanding our needs as humans. And sometimes, like, our bodies and our minds are screaming at us for obvious reasons. And maybe because something happened yesterday that, like, obviously we're having a reaction to. But if you don't
Yeah.
reflect, you don't get quiet enough to understand the realities that we deal with day to day instead of the tasks on your to-do list, you miss it.
Yeah.
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 And I
And so
think,
many people think, oh, it's, I'm eating because of whatever happened at 7 or 8 that morning.
mhm,
It's no, it's whatever happened when you were 7 or 8 years old.
yeah. And it's, I mean, everything is so connected, and it's so simple and it's so profound and it's so obvious, but it's at the same time not that obvious when we break our days up.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so for women who are listening and who may have been living in the shadows with this, like what would you say to them to push them to live in the light and to address patterns that maybe they don't want to hold on to as they move towards identities that they're aspiring to?
I've had so many women say to me that it felt like they were in a prison with the emotional eating. So, and I felt that way too. I mean, there was nothing that anyone could say to me that was worse than what I was already saying to myself. So I understand the shame. I understand feeling like you're in a prison. This work is hard. It's you know, my students, my clients, 10 days, like they are seeing significant results in 10 days. It's
Wow.
not fixed overnight. It's not a quick fix. It is a process, you know. Um, but they're seeing if they jump in and do the work, they're seeing results.
Yeah.
It is hard work. It is messy work. It is uncomfortable work. It's bringing up emotions and stuff that we don't want to deal with.
Mhm.
But in the grand scheme of things, it is a quicker process to rip the band aid off, to go through this work, to address what's under the iceberg versus staying in that prison for years to come.
Yeah. What's kind of popping out to me right now is just like it's the path of most resistance. You know what I mean? Like we're so
Yeah.
resistant to it for so long, but the potential solution has been standing in front of us for as
Yeah.
long as we've been exhibiting these behaviors.
And once that bottom part of the iceberg is addressed, like
Mhm.
it's a permanent change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there for life.
That's so profound and it's so empowering.
Along the way, it's the spikes aren't as high and they're
Mhm.
not as long, which is even that is nicer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it's that the shame associated with the pattern and the energy that we put towards the next day being like, "Oh, I was so bad yesterday, and I have to make up for it," and then it perpetuates the next time that it happens. The energy that that takes for us to dedicate, like dedicated energy that we have towards the regret, the remorse, the shame, the making up for it. Imagine if you didn't have to deal with that and how
Yeah.
else you could allocate that energy
Yeah.
in service of yourself. And so I think that, like, for me, when I track macros and I get certainty that way, it's freed up so much of that second guessing I was always doing. Is this nourishing my body? Did I eat enough? Did I eat too little? Was it the right thing? Am I going to feel okay? How long is this going to hold me over until? I don't have that chatter anymore. I know.
Yeah.
And there is such a beautiful, invaluable freedom that comes with that hard work.
Yeah.
And it's a gift, obviously we pay money to people to help us for things that we can't do on our own. And I think that that needs to be talked about as well, because having a coach or seeking help is something that we should all be very proud of. But the gifts that you get in return for investing in yourself, you can't put a price on that.
Oh yeah. I mean, just this past weekend, I was volunteering, and I knew there was going to be a we have a local ice cream store. It's literally cow to cone,
Mhm.
and so it's
Wow.
all natural ingredients and everything. And it was funny, like I was looking forward to it all week, but it wasn't a back and forth in my brain. It wasn't, oh, I have to work out so much, or oh, I have to make up to this, or oh, I was good all week with my eating. It was just, no, like I have a lifestyle of healthy eating. I have a lifestyle of working out. It is summer, and it's not a treat like I deserve this, or I'm getting rewarded, or I deserve this treat. It's a treat from like what our grandparents used to call a treat, like a
Yeah.
legitimate tiny little kid size in a cup scoop of ice cream that is, homemade, local cows. And I loved it. And I
Yeah.
savored it, and I didn't feel deprived. I didn't feel like I needed more. Like it was just good.
Yeah. It's
But
just
it
like
didn't have,
joyful.
it was just exactly. But it's also taken me a long time. Like there was a big period where I didn't touch anything
Hmm.
because I didn't want to open up Pandora's box. But, now I'm in a place where I can have a few bites, or I can have a small cup, and it literally is a legitimate treat. Like our
Yeah.
like our grandmas used to call it.
And I think that comes up a lot too, is like the balance that we get to when consistency is what we're practicing in
Yeah.
our reverence for ourself, then things like having that ice cream from cow to cone can be really joyful because you have the
Yeah.
certainty of the consistency. You have the patterns that are like the infrastructure that holds up how you live.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It is so
And
powerful.
and I think so many women are like, oh, everything in moderation, but everything in moderation is everything. Like that's what it
Hmm.
is these days. And I also tell them, when you're going through this journey, the first 3 months, the first 6 months, whatever that looks like, the more you can cut out of the processed food and the sugar,
Hmm.
the better it's going to be for you in the long run. There will be a time when adding it back in may or may not work for you, depending on, the type of person you are, and how what your relationship is with food at that point in time. But I'm like, everyone thinks like, oh, I can just, no, if especially for the emotional eating, especially with weight loss, like there has to be a time where that is not a part of your lifestyle,
Yeah.
and then we're going to gradually add it back in when, again, we deal with the under the iceberg, when we deal with that root cause, and you can
Hmm.
get to a place where I can just have a few bites, or I can be around it without losing my mind.
And it is such a delicate, fine balance, but that consistency and that establishment of the patterns is essential. It's an
Yeah.
essential ingredient. Like we have to do the hard work if we want the results, and we want to chip away at all of these things that kind of enable us to hide from ourselves.
Yeah.
This has been so powerful, so mind-blowing. Like I feel like I could talk to you for probably another 2 hours, honestly. Um, but one more question, and then I'm going to ask where everyone can find you on the internet and get access to all this beautiful, amazing work that you do. What if there's like one mantra that you live your life by, especially right now and this place where you're empowering so many women, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. Okay, this one is going to sound a little crazy. It's a quote from Chase Hughes,
Okay.
and stay with me; it'll make sense in a second. Every insult is a confession. And I
I love
think
that.
so, right? I think so often that when we go on our journeys, we worry about what so many other people think
Mhm.
about what we're doing or what we're eating, or if we're not eating something or if we're eating something. Number one, most people don't care. Number two, everyone who's going to say something to you, that's their own confession. That's from their own lens, and it has nothing to do with you. And I've been applying this in as I'm, growing on Instagram and getting a little ballsier with what I'm talking about and some of the topics, and really going against the diet industry, and even,
Mhm.
not by name, but some of the influencers that have, less than, you know they're just, anyway. So I'm getting a little ballsier on Instagram. And that's a mantra that I've been repeating to myself, because I get just as much hate as I get praise. And
Mhm.
that's okay. That means I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
And I just keep telling myself every insult is a confession. Like, all of the hate that I get online is from people who are confessing their own unhappiness or their own place. And I also, you know, tell my ladies that too, is that as you're going through this journey, people, you know, any kind of weight loss journey, like, people have things to say.
It's very triggering.
And yeah, exactly. But what they say has nothing to do with you. It's their own
Yeah.
confession.
And I think a lot of that, I love that. I love that so much. And I think it's also our approach to health as women has to honor who we are as individuals. And everyone's journey is different, which means that it is going to be triggering to other people because
Yeah.
we all want, as humans, to exist in the most expansive way that we can, in the healthiest way that we can, honoring ourselves. But if we honor ourselves, then what's right for me may not be what's right for you. What happens to me at a certain point in my life may not happen for you at that time.
Yeah.
And that can ruffle feathers.
Oh, yeah.
But that individualism and that honoring of yourself and not only how you treat your body, how you treat your mind, how you treat your spirit also means that you give grace to yourself and you realize that you're getting closer to who you were always meant to be has no bearing on anyone else on their own journey.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I love that so much and I think that that is such a beautiful, beautiful thing to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you on the internet for your beautiful and amazing coaching program? Tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram is probably the best place, at
Okay.
holly.bertone. I also have a podcast and a Substack called Weight Loss Forensics. So Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or Substack, just search Weight Loss Forensics. But on Instagram, because you're still listening and Sam, you're such a wonderful host and such, great listeners. If you DM me on Instagram at holly.bertone, and it's Bertone, DM me with the word profile, and I will send you an emotional eating psychological profile. It's like a 2 or 3 minute quiz. And then on the other side, it's like a 20-minute complete breakdown of your emotional eating psychology.
That is incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all this beautiful wisdom and your stories. And I am just so grateful that we've had the chance to do this. So thank you.
I am too. Thank you so much for your generous time.